Hello, this is the fire department. What's the address of emergency? Hello?
Engine 266, rescue 866, engine 46, rescue 46.
Okay, well listen, the fire department has been dispatched and they're on the way. Are you with her now? How old is she? Okay, is she conscious? Is she breathing?
Hey Carla, I'm moving a lot of patients around right now. Just A2's going to hallway bed and
Code blue, DCU. Code blue, DCU.
What's your emergency?
There's a lady on the ground in here in the emergency room at Martin Luther King, and they are overlooking her, claiming that she's been discharged and she's deathly sick, and everybody's ignoring her.
What would you want me to do for you, ma'am?
Send an ambulance out here to take her somewhere where she can get medical help.
Okay, you're at the hospital, ma'am.
I know where I am.
Ma'am, I cannot do anything for you for the quality of the hospital there. You understand what I'm saying? This 911 is used for emergency purposes only.
It's an emergency.
It's not an emergency, ma'am.
It is.
It is not emergency. This line, 911, is used for emergency purposes only. Life-threatening emergencies. It is not.
Guys, let's do everything we can to help EMS 13 staff. We'll do it. We'll hit it. Today is the parade. Watts Christmas Parade, 10 o'clock. Goes till about 12:30. It's going to be Engine 65 and Rescue 265.
Because of you guys. That's all of you guys. Matter of fact, I shake all y'all hands. All you guys are all right with me. Good man. Thank you. Thank you so much for being who you are. All right. Doggone right. You listen, just for being with them.
Get around. Let's go. Rescue 15 on the radio.
Okay, listen very carefully. The ambulance is already on the way.
This gentleman fell off the roof. It's about a 25-foot fall.
Oh, shit. You can see where that piece of wrought iron went through his arm and it bent. But I don't see it, but I think it went through his arm and tore it. Hey, partner, can you wiggle your toes nice and easy for me? Okay.
Time is critical. He could lose his arm, he could lose his hand. We don't act fast enough and get him to the facilities and get him there fast enough. Take a deep breath. Out. Again.
When I first came down here 4 years ago, we were averaging 950 a day runs. We're averaging now 1,200, 1,300 calls or runs a day.
Come on, head first.
Okay? Yeah.
We handle 600,000 emergency calls a year, but the calls are on the EMS side. There's been an explosion in call load.
It's about 82% of what we do in the fire department is medical.
Engine 7, Roger, pushing around. Engine 39, you may discontinue. Engine 7.
69, where's the address of your emergency?
Is there any bleeding? Is there bleeding?
Engine 39, Roger.
All right,
ma'am. Just don't move if you're hurt.
Okay, this is what I want you to do, okay? I want you to count her respirations for me. I want you to count her respirations.
Are you there with her right now? Okay, listen very carefully. The ambulance is already on the way. What I need to find out from you right now, is she conscious? Conscious means awake.
The rise in demand for our EMS services is increasing every year. Our EMS runs are going up 2%, and the hospitals are closing. In the last 4 years, we've had 10 hospitals close. So it's less and less hospitals for us to take our 517 patients every day.
The rest you get there, they evaluate your situation.
It's been referred to as the perfect storm in the county of Los Angeles. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and there's no relief in sight.
If you're having a health crisis, you'd like to think you can count on getting quick treatment in a hospital emergency room.
Across the country today, many emergency rooms were packed.
ER visits have grown 32% in the last decade, but there are 7% fewer emergency rooms.
From Los Angeles to Chicago to Birmingham, 20 trauma centers have closed since 2000.
Severe general weakness.
What's happening in the city of Los Angeles and in Southern California is ground zero for what we're seeing nationwide with the crisis with emergency services. The inpatient beds per capita is the lowest in the country, and what we've seen recently is the only real healthcare system that we have in the city of Los Angeles is the Los Angeles Fire Department, because we become the de facto healthcare system.
This is the canary in the mine of healthcare throughout the United States.
That'd be outstanding. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. No problem. Dinner, I'm looking at pork chops. Anybody have a problem with pork chops for dinner?
Quarterly statistical information. This is some good stuff right here. Oh, yeah.
The pictures nowhere.
July through September, EMS incidents per day. 827. Ginormous. What's a real popular one?
Difficult breath.
Shortness of breath. Okay, difficult breathing problems. That is the #1 call, by the way.
Station 65 is in the South Los Angeles area of our city. They actually have 2 paramedic rescues down there. It's one of our busiest engine companies we have in the city of Los Angeles. And unfortunately, we can't keep personnel that long there. They come there, they gather a lot of experience in a relatively short period of time, and they want to go on to a better place.
Firefighters at first weren't even EMTs, and then they became EMTs. And from my understanding, a lot of firefighters balked at that, and they didn't want to do any EMS. In fact, when I started my venture as a firefighter, I didn't want to do EMS. I started out wanting to just do firefighting, and they told us, go get your EMT license. And I said, I can't, I don't think I can handle it. I don't think I can do it. And I took an EMT course, and I thought, all right, I'll do it. I took the class just to get the license to try to get hired. That was the only thing I was planning on doing, was just using the license to get hired. And it turned out that I had thoroughly enjoyed the EMS aspect of it as well. Quit my job where I was at and started with an ambulance company making, I think it was $5 an hour for about 5 years, which a lot of us had to do.
Our fire code has played an important role in driving down the volume and severity of fires. And because that is the reality, what we need is more ambulances.
10 years ago, we had half the ambulances that we have now. Now, we handle all emergency medical services in the city of Los Angeles. From the time you dial 911 here at our dispatch center till the time you get to the hospital, it's one service.
What do you want? Do you want a family member to come with you to the hospital?
Yeah.
Who do you want?
No. Down here?
No.
Down here? In here?
go see this lady. She's in bed. There's a leg problem with no history of trauma.
And our emergency room is very impacted. We see about 3,000 patients a month through the emergency department. We had a day the other day where we saw 110 in one day, and it was exciting.
And your name is?
Stephanie Sanchez.
Nice to meet you. Sorry
Thank
about any
you.
delay. And you
It's okay.
are?
Veronica Flieger, her my mom.
The mom. Okay.
I've had a lot of pain in both legs, where my legs get numb and I lose balance.
Now, you were at a doctor's office today, and she was concerned that you had a blood clot in your leg because you had one before when you were pregnant. Here's your pressure right now is a little higher. 180 over. We're increasing staffing and trying to find room where there's never been room, like, closets, hallways, things like that. Sorry to examine the hallway.
It's
We
okay.
we could use about 3 times the beds. There's a little bit right here. Okay. Does this hurt when I do this?
The problem is not enough inpatient beds, not enough emergency department beds, and not enough nurses to man those beds to take care of all the people who need our care.
We may have a hospital full of patients, no beds upstairs. We're holding patients in our ER because there's no beds upstairs, and we do the best we can. We can't turn them away.
We have a federal law that mandates that you can turn no one away who seeks care in an emergency room. The reality is that these people don't have primary care physicians that they can call, so you're going to end up in the emergency room. And I think that if we had a system where everyone had access to care, this would not be happening, because they would call their doctor.
Rescue 866, Engine 46, Rescue 46, Life Force 94, EMS 3, Battalion 1.
His brother, this is the guy. Cool, huh? All right, tell you what, I'll close the back door for you.
Thank you.
No problem. We've been seeing you way too much lately.
Yeah.
So what's worse right now, the short of breath, the chest pain?
Chest pain.
Chest pain? Really?
Yeah.
You're complaining of chest pain, which is a little different than what we normally see you with. We're going to go ahead and take a look at your heart and see what's going on, all right? Right now it looks good with your rhythm, but I want to make sure. Weird question, but you haven't taken any sexually enhancing drugs within the last 24 hours, have you?
No.
Okay. There you go. All right, bud, I'll give you another treatment here. Your lungs are sounding more clear. You're not working as hard.
Okay, hi. That sequence number on this patient was B as in boy, U266544. As a 65-year-old male, he is now adamantly refusing to go to the hospital.
Now we're advising him that he risks complications up to and including death, and that he's willing to accept those responsibilities.
All right, this is the hospital. They want to speak with you.
You know the routine, brother. They don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, hello? Yeah, I feel great.
Some people are just like that. They get the treatment and then they don't want to go.
Yeah, we're locked up. I'm going to have to pull you out, and then we'll, hands across your chest, bud.
A lot of times they don't have the medicine. They can't get the medicine. They can't afford the medicine, or they sell it for other things, or they just use it up and they can't get back to the doctor on their own. So because of that, a lot of them tend to use this more for primary care than for actual emergencies.
For individuals who don't have access to health care, our ambulances show up with our paramedics on there, and that's the closest thing those people see to a doctor over years. So we're actually a doctor in a box, if you will, in our ambulance service.
Go ahead.
I'm not overly aggressive. I make sure everybody stops at the intersection before I go through.
And when's your due date? Tomorrow? Ooh, it's baby time. Okay, we're gonna take you over to Martin Luther King, okay?
Do I have to go?
Yes. You should go. We're strongly recommending it. We can't force you to go. You want to have a good, healthy baby, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the hospital.
98 over 50.
All right.
How old are you?
18.
You don't want to go?
Who's the mom?
I'm the mom.
You guys are family. Why don't you go in there and have a little rap with
Yeah,
her real
because
quick?
yeah, let me do this.
Because it's her first time praying. She don't know what's cracking.
Yeah, and she could be contracting and just not feeling it. My baby is okay, Mama.
Angel, your
Angel,
music
this is your first baby. How do you know?
Okay, listen. If she doesn't want to go with us, well, the worst possible case scenario is the baby can come out dead. And that's just being, we're not going to sugarcoat it. That's just being blunt.
Yes, and mommy plug broke
How many
earlier.
babies have you had?
3, and I've had 6.
Oh, so I'm not an expert. I'm getting out of here. I don't know nothing about having babies.
Yeah.
Angela, how about one more thing? Why don't you stand up and try and walk for us? We gotta see if you can do that.
Plus, your blood pressure is low already. How you feel standing?
Please. They are not telling you nothing wrong, sweetie. So you need to do the right thing for your baby. That's love.
You gonna go with us, Angela?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take you over to Martin Luther King, okay?
Okay. Martin Luther King is the greatest hospital for delivering your child. They saved me and my baby's life. They are good, really good, really good.
This is presented to Kenneth Hahn, Los Angeles County Supervisor. This is the key that opens the door of the Martin Luther King Jr. General Hospital.
Monday morning at 8 o'clock, this hospital will be open to the patients of Watts and Willowbrook in the south central area of Los Angeles County. Watts was put on the map not only in California, but the nation, maybe the world, in 1965 because of the riots.
6 days of rioting in a Negro section of Los Angeles left behind scenes reminiscent of war-torn cities.
Much of South Central Los Angeles seemed to be on fire. A fire fueled in part by unemployment, poor education, and things like a lack of health care and housing.
The McCone Commission said that the county must build a hospital. Just think that we had a section of Los Angeles County of over 1/3 citizens without adequate hospital care.
When I transferred in, MLK, Martin Luther King Drew Hospital, was a ER facility. It was a hospital. It was a trauma hospital. The trauma area was open, which was actually a pretty state-of-the-art trauma room.
I believe we were seeing between 50, maybe even closer to 55, 57,000 a year in the main emergency department. A lot of times we would get the diabetic in coma who knew something was wrong but didn't have the means to go to the doctor's office. Again, that goes to the problem that there are no primary care facilities in that area.
A few years ago, the County of Los Angeles had a lot of clinics that were open where people could go walk in off the street and see clinics. When the county had a few bad budget years a few years ago, they closed those clinics. Private clinics aren't going to open up and take underinsured or patients who can't pay.
¿Usted no tiene papeles?
Sí.
¿Sí tiene papeles?
Solo el permiso.
¿Cómo está su azúcar?
Está a 120.
No, 400. Es muy mal para su diabetes, señor.
Ya.
Usted tiene cita con farmacia una semana antes. ¿Por qué no fue?
No, sí fui.
Esa es clínica gratis, medicina es gratis, y usted mira a mí para gratis. ¿Por qué no venga? Ese es todo el dinero. A lot of the patients here are non-compliant. They don't have a lot of structure. They were never raised with structure. Never went to school. You know, never. ¿Usted puede leer?
No.
Can't read. So, checar su azúcar 2-3 veces cada semana. No usar más. No cada día. Okay? Es muy caro. Most do not have insurance. I mean, but this is where the money needs to go, because if you treat them primary care-wise, and this diabetic, we prevent from getting renal failure, heart attacks, leg cut off, you know, because if we don't treat him, we send him out in the streets, and then 2 years later, he ends up at LA County Hospital, and you got to treat him. It's going to cost $500,000. Si usted perdió su próxima cita con cualquier citas, usted tiene que buscar para una nueva clínica.
Okay.
¿Ok, entiende?
Si pierdo la cita, ya no vengo.
Yeah.
Primary care nationally is a problem, and it is especially a problem here in Los Angeles County. Where do you go for primary care physicians? First of all, the country is not training enough of them.
So we have a possible candidate for the program. Ms. Romero has been identified as a frequent user. She's been to the hospital at least 6 times within a 1-year period. We want to give her also the care management part of it in order to maybe help her, keep her out of the ER and having to come in. Okay, señora Romero. So, mi nombre es Irma Estrella, okay, yo soy una trabajadora con el programa Camino de Salud y lo que hacemos es ayudamos al paciente a mejor entender cómo usar el sistema médico. Va a tener usted un trabajador, okay, que va a estar comunicándose con usted frecuentemente, okay. Usted me estaba explicando que a veces tiene dificultad haciendo citas. Sí. ¿Sí? Okay. So, nosotros vamos a ayudarle un poquito con eso.
Okay, ¿cómo yo puedo ayudar a usted ahora?
Me dieron nomás esta medicina y me tuvieron.
You do have to educate and empower patients to learn how to access care correctly. And at the same time, you can't do that if the system's not set up to be accessible. If you're educating the patient to go down a road where the bridge is out and there's a fork in the road and there's 3 different ways to go and you don't know which way to go, that's not going to be very helpful. Our vision is to improve access to care. We want to get people access to the right care at the right time at the right place. We need to incentivize financially our primary care providers, our physicians. This is your family medicine doctor that you go see for a cold, but also the person who's most likely to diagnose you if you have cancer.
¿Y usted sabe tener refill?
No, pero dice que no tengo que llevar la receta, me dice.
¿Por qué?
Sí, para si no me la venden.
Yeah, that's one thing we need to explain to the patient about the refill. She has 5 refills and she's telling me that she needs prescriptions.
¿Esta fue la medicina que le dijeron en la farmacia? Sí, seguro.
Bishop, go ahead for wellness. We'll get together later for our lineup. Right, Scotty? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Captain.
Okay, the good news is in January through March of '99, we had 80 rescue ambulances. You know how many we have now?
It depends on how many you're counting that are wrecked downtown.
We have 128. 128 rescue ambulances now. Okay, you guys are doing much better. You're just about reached Bamatry's goal of what he wanted to have an ALS resource on scene within 6 minutes. You guys are holding down 7 minutes flat. However, the best it's ever been was 6.4. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I'm just giving you the facts.
Life Force 94, EMS 310-1. Trying to get you 605.
Come on, head first.
Yeah.
Look at your blood pressure. Look at.
Mami solo se asustó porque estaba toda esta gente.
You got any brothers and sisters? Mildred, we're going to go to Martin Luther King Hospital. Once they get you squared away, hon, you can have your family transfer you over to St. Francis, okay? All right.
I had a doctor call me from a hospital, but rescues get there every now and then. And he called me one evening and he tells me that they couldn't take any more patients at their emergency room. So I asked him to explain exactly what he meant. He says, we need to free our beds up for our people. And I said, well, which people are your people?
The people that we're bringing them from these lower income areas aren't paying. They don't have insurance. They got to get treated. They got to be seen. But, you know, if they're not paying, you can't function as a hospital. And that's why we've lost so many hospitals in our area.
In Los Angeles County, in the last just over 5 years, we've had 11 emergency rooms close. And in most cases, entire hospitals.
If you get a map of the city and you put a little dot where the hospitals are, and you put a dot where the hospitals were that had ERs, and it's pretty scary.
The orange dots show hospitals that are no longer here, and the green dots represent those hospitals that are still in existence here. What you don't see is any new hospitals because there are no new hospitals constructed in this area. If you look at this area from a health planning standpoint, the medical desert is enormous.
Today I came to try to get some medical records and security said it's closed. I couldn't believe it was closed. Yeah, well, when I went in, the security guard told me that it's up for sale. And all they basically do here is film movies now. And I was shocked. Can't believe that this is what's going on now. You know, it was a great hospital. This was the last hospital I was in 2002 when I got shot, you know.
What happened?
It was a Sunday afternoon around 12 o'clock and just 2 cars came in and it was a big shootout. And I just happened to roll by and I caught a bullet, you know, hit my spine. I can't move my legs, I'm paralyzed, you know. If it wasn't for these people that were here, I don't think I would have made it the way I made it because I was a little kid. I was 17 years old when this happened to me. I go to school now, I go to college, you know, and if it wasn't for them, I went forward. I even drive now. I do everything. I'm independent, and it's for these people. And look, they can't help nobody else, you know. Somebody might not get that opportunity I got.
This came from Chief McCarthy. The memo said that Martin Luther King, it's not going to be a complete closure, but the capacity is going to change from 140 some beds to actually 42 beds. St. Francis will be overwhelmed pretty quickly, so we're going to have to be going to a lot of the outlying hospitals. The thing is when the hospitals do challenge you, and don't be fooled, they're going to challenge you because they're going to be overwhelmed at times. Be professional, don't engage, don't get angry. We're not here to judge or do anything like that. We're just here to do our job and be professional about it. All right. Any other questions on that?
The community had a nickname for MLK, and everybody knows it was called Killer King. We would get on scene, and the first thing people would ask is, where am I going to be transported? And if we said Martin Luther King, you know, often the response was, please don't take me to King.
They're understaffed, underfunded, and they had too many patients that didn't have private physicians. And with 400 or 500 patients in an emergency room, it's very difficult to triage those into the hospital.
King Drew Medical Center is in critical condition, and the
King Drew was in the bottom 2.5% of all hospitals in the state of California.
Health officials say patients there had been put in, quote, immediate jeopardy.
Patients at Martin Luther King Drew Medical Center can get ready for fewer services and a new name.
We cannot assure that patients will be safe or that fundamental hospital standards can be met.
The proposed closure of the trauma center will have an impact to the LA County Fire Department.
I'm begging of you, don't ignore this. Don't marginalize this. We want our trauma center kept open.
He's next. He's had an MI before, and he's had severe chest pain.
It used to be a very simple system that we had. You took every patient to the closest facility, but you closed 10 hospitals with 8 beds at them each. That's 80 patients out of our system in the city.
She didn't look well when she came in. She had slurred speech.
We close our doors here in the ER or close to saturation when our waiting room is full, when all of our ER beds are full. We've got ambulance runs waiting in the hallway, and we're basically closing to saturation for safety purposes.
Not the shortness of breath, right?
So diversion is a huge thing for some of our hospitals down here. They're on diversion about 90% of the time. So 90% of the time, we're looking for another hospital when we could be across the street from that hospital.
Taking a pain medicine, were you?
One time, will you go with me?
I'll let them do it.
Will you go to the hospital see this one time?
King's E SAT, Harbor UCLA SAT, St. Francis is SAT. So we're going to Kaiser Bellflower.
We're going
to fourth hospital. It's about a 10-mile, 12-mile ride. However, we are in LA and there's a lot of traffic, so.
For the average American who has insurance, they don't realize the impact of what's going on to them.
What's going on? Obviously,
they think it's a problem of the uninsured, of someone else.
Hey, where's initial nick or injury?
Actually, just
like right in there? And it spread all this way, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
After here.
Did you see something? Does it hurt there when I go like that?
No.
Okay. Okay. So when you do this, you can tell that it's not in the tendons, which would be a really bad infection. Because if it gets really bad, it can go into the tendons, go into the bone, you get a bone infection. In the worst scenario, you could lose your arm if it gets really bad. But we're going to prevent that.
It's really trying to make me feel good.
Take care of you. We'll take care of it.
I've been in the hospital since 2 o'clock, and I just, what is it, 6 o'clock right now? 6:15? And I have insurance. That's a good thing, If I didn't have insurance, I can imagine I'd still be standing outside. Or maybe they'd send me home.
Waiting 6 hours is not uncommon. And if you go to surrounding hospitals, people come in here telling me they're waiting 12 hours sometimes to get back.
Harbor, UCLA, right now at this moment, it's at 24 hours, meaning as soon as you walk in the door and they triage you and figure out you're not critical, basically you're someone that could definitely live for another couple of days before being critical. They'll keep you in the waiting room and you'll have to sit there and wait to be seen. It has happened at certain hospitals. I've gone in, they actually did all the treatments off our gurney and we just sat there and waited. So we're missing calls in our district because our gurney's tied up at the hospital because they don't have a bed to put that patient in.
The delay in the hospital, that's the norm. I've had a rescue a couple weeks ago, waited 4 hours for a bed.
I've waited sometimes 3 hours.
I was at St. Francis in Linwood for 4 hours and 15 minutes standing against the wall with a patient. If they don't have beds, you're going to wait. And because even though we're inside there, we're still on scene with that patient. If we leave the hospital and don't transfer care to a bed, it's negligence. Or even the county can say, you know what, there goes your paramedic license and you're gone. Then you revert here. If we didn't have our paramedic license, we do it back to the firefighter only. So.
What about you?
No.
Ready for the big day tomorrow?
They'll go, oh, he's got no or he's got, but they don't take it so far, so they can do whatever they
Yeah.
How it goes. Back to the old days? Yeah, back to the old days, being an intern. It might be a little chaotic.
Don't do it.
He says, you know what?
So how many calls did you get last night?
4 calls after midnight. 3 out of the 4 calls we had were people with just basic cold and flu symptoms, sniffles and nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and been sick for 3-4 days, and just said, "Uncle."
Smoke anything at all?
Yeah, he does.
You do? Okay.
I've been in the fire department for 28 years, and I came on as a single function firefighter when I came on the job. And back then, we actually only responded on about 4 or 5 different types of EMS calls. We responded on chest pains, heart attacks, car accidents, and drownings. And if you called with a sprained thumb or a broken finger, the dispatcher back then told you to get in the car and go to the hospital. So a lot has changed.
How we doing? I've been on you before. What's going on today?
Same thing, panic
attack. Panic attack? How's he feeling right now? You're all right, buddy. Come on, Jose. You remember what happened? Did you get upset? Did you get argued with your brother or sister?
Huh? Or you lying to me? So you said you've been here before?
Yeah, been here a few times. 2, 3, probably 5 or 6 times over the last year. Been on the mom, been on the mother, the grandmother, the son, and the twins, and her when she was pregnant with their youngest. And they have 2 houses, this one and another one down in Hickory. I remember that. Down in Hickory. Remember we were down in Hickory that day?
Oh yeah, no, I don't remember.
No, you don't.
Well, he's thinking every time you guys come, you're gonna take him to the hospital.
You can stay here. We're just gonna check you out real quick. How many brothers and sisters you have? 6 total brothers and sisters?
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, Jose, everything's looking okay. All right? You can relax.
Anything else?
Okay.
What else we can do? All right, man, get a haircut. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Have a good day. I think education, I think, is a huge part. I mean, everybody's understanding what emergency is different, but I mean, people have been called out for a Band-Aid, thinking that all we are is, a system that they can call and literally, can I give you a couple Band-Aids? And I mean...
We get the weirdest calls. Oh, let me show you this. These are some of the protocols that we do send to. We have things such as boils, can't sleep, they're hungry, constipation, toothache.
But if somebody says they're hungry, what do you do?
Whatever we have to do with them. Give them $5, take them to the local McDonald's.
We've been called to, broken sprinklers in someone's lawn, to a dog underneath a chimney, stuck in a hole. And there's all different types of calls you're going to go on, which just makes this job fun. But at the same time, it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, you're always going to have that percentage of people who actually know the system. But the majority of people, that's not the way it is. They dial 911 because they truly need somebody to tell them what to do, because this is their first emergency they've had to deal with.
He's just a little warm.
So I think I better
move
on.
Here's this. Everything we see looks good.
See how he's doing? Oh, he start talking.
Yeah, like he's just doing right now.
But he just shaking. That's my concern.
Honestly, based on our evaluation, he's going good and things are going well, and there's no reason for him to go to the hospital straight. But if he still has a little bit of a temperature, he's gonna shake and shiver a little bit like this because it's cold.
Oh.
If there's anything, like if you wanted to, you can wrap him up in a sweatshirt, something like that, a little bit, cover him up a little bit more to keep him warm, basically. Yeah.
I want to take him on, but everybody got their own opinion. Don't get me wrong.
You want to take him? What taking?
Did you want to transport?
I said no transportation at home.
Okay, well then in that case we can go.
We have a transportation policy in our department that we offer transportation to everybody unless it's a minor extremity injury. Since we've had that system, which has been about the last 5 years, we've cut our lawsuits down to nothing. It's paid for itself.
At the expense to the taxpayers, at the expense of the individual who wants the ride, at the expense of the ripple effect of filling hospital beds with non-critical patients. I know gas prices are high, but I know I can get to the local emergency room for a lot cheaper in my own personal vehicle if I have the flu.
And the insurance company will look at that and say, wow, were paramedics really warranted on this? And then they won't pay. And then the citizens get stuck with a bill.
I really do believe that every patient should pay something for their care, because one of the problems we also have in this country is that healthcare is not valued. We have the most expensive healthcare system in the world, and it's probably valued the least.
People are going to have to begin to take responsibility for their health care. Pay something. It can start small, perhaps a $5 copay for an emergency visit. I think it'll change behavior as well.
Something has to be done. The question is what?
Here, we've closed hospitals in the last 10 years, but we've opened over 1,000 McDonald's, Arby's, Burger Kings that contribute to the high blood pressure, diabetes, and everything else in sense. I mean, if you're going to tax cigarettes, why don't we start taxing fast food restaurants, pay for some of this health care?
Negotiator 14, go ahead. We got a run. Rescue 15 on the radio with light force 14 to the assault. 34.
As soon as the dog's tied up, we'll help you. You got him? Cool. Now, how can we help you?
He's a diabetic or whatever. He's been sick since like 2 days or whatever. He haven't took no insulin. He ain't never went to the doctor for it. He used to pass out.
Talk to him and let the medics look at him. At least check his sugar. Because if he says no, we can't force him. But if you talk to him, and then we can check him.
I'm saying yes. His mother's not here. This is his sister.
I know, but we need someone.
When he was in prison, he was on insulin.
We need his permission to let my medics check him.
Get up here.
Now, he's agreed to let us check his sugar and his blood pressure, and if he doesn't want us help, unfortunately, there's nothing else we can do. Okay, he's agreed to that, so let's do
He's
that.
agreed. We're going to take him in the back. We're going to check his sugar, okay?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Stop right here for us.
I know you do. You want the best for him, but we can't.
If you don't get it checked, your health starts deteriorating, man. You don't want to. I mean, you can avoid all that stuff.
Right now, he has no complaints. He said he feels fine. He's answering all our questions appropriately. Ma'am, listen, ma'am, please let me finish. And his sugar's 103. It's within normal limits. And we're going to check his blood pressure after that. If there's nothing that he wants from us, unfortunately, there's nothing else that we can do for him by law. Okay?
Yeah, we do get frustrated, and it's not only us, but it's the nurses in the hospitals. It's also the doctors. I've seen them just blow up. You know, like why? I've seen this person every day for the last 10 days. Why are they here again? You know, and then you see the patient, they got 8 wristbands going up their arm, you know, hospital bracelets.
OCD EMS 13, can you attach me to incident 693? It's starting to get to a lot of ER personnel down here, and I'm pretty sure it's Southern California is not the only area where it's happening. You have firefighters coming from different states who want to apply to LA City, and these paramedics are experiencing the same thing. I had a guy from Houston, last week, paramedic burnout, he talked about in his area. Another guy from New York, the paramedic burnout. So it's a big issue.
We have the shield.
What's the shield?
The shield is when the other rescue at our station is available. So they get the next call, which means we get the chance to take a shower and brush our teeth. That way we don't get our showers interrupted. Jimmy hates that. And now all these rescues here,
They're probably going to be waiting for a while because I think we just got the last available bed. That's fine. Grab that one leg. There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We just took a patient to Martin Luther King with nausea and vomiting, which gets triaged in the emergency room, and based on her level of severity, she'll get a bed. Well, we got there before a few other patients, and she got a bed. Now the other patients are going to have to wait. Even though they might have more severe problems, they might have to wait for a bed for hours. If Martin Luther King, even if they just limit their number of beds, which they're planning on doing, to 42 beds, then that's going to be repercussions for everybody. So hopefully it won't get to the point where it's going to be affecting patient care, to the point where people are going to be waiting for such long times that they're not going to be getting treated as they should. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he was actually ejected. The driver was ejected out of the vehicle, and the passenger is...
There is no one immune to this. We are the county hospital for the poor, and yet we're the trauma center for everyone on the South Bay area of Los Angeles. So it makes no difference if you have the best insurance in the world or no insurance. The next time you're in a traffic accident, if, God forbid, we have an earthquake or bioterrorist attack, we are the place that you want to come. We are the place you're going to be brought regardless of where you want to come. And if we're overcrowded and have no gurneys, you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to get the kind of care that you deserve.
It's not the train wrecks that really scare us and keep us up at night. What scares us and keeps us up at night is essentially a pandemic flu. It'll take about 12 hours before every hospital ER is overwhelmed.
Rescue 73 from quarters.
Well, like I said, if you're at the emergency room, there's nothing really we can do. You're at the emergency room right now. Well, can't they help you there at the emergency room?
A lot of times they think, well, no, I want you to take us in the ambulance because we'll be seen faster in the ER.
He's at the emergency room and he wants to be transported from one hospital to the other. Because he doesn't like Hollywood Presbyterian, so he wants to go to Kaiser now. No, we can't do that.
911 was a tool that was developed, and like any tool, if you don't have a set of instructions along with the tool, it's going to be misused and abused, and eventually it'll break.
Hold on a moment. I'm trying to get an interpreter for you, sir. Un momento. Yes, can you find out what his emergency is, please?
Okay. Señor, ¿cuál es su emergencia, por favor? Oiga, es que aquí en la sala, okay, the emergency room, my wife is dying. The nurses don't want to help her out.
Okay, what do you mean she's dying?
She's vomiting blood.
Okay, and why aren't they helping her?
Okay, they're watching her. They're just not doing anything. They're just watching her.
Okay, he needs to contact a nurse or a doctor and let them know she's vomiting blood.
They don't let me in.
They're not going to let him in if he's causing a problem. He needs to contact the county police officers at the security desk there.
Okay.
Paramedics are not going to pick him up or pick his wife up from a hospital because she's already at one.
1:51 a.m.
What's your emergency?
It's a lady on the ground, and here in the emergency room, and Martin Luther King, and they are overlooking her claim that she's been discharged and she's desperately sick, and everybody's ignoring her.
What would you want me to do for you, ma'am?
Send an ambulance out here to take her somewhere where she can get medical help.
Okay, you're at the hospital, ma'am.
I know where I am.
Ma'am, I cannot do anything for you for the quality of the hospital there. You understand what I'm saying? This 911 is used for emergency purposes only.
It's an emergency.
It's not an emergency, ma'am.
It is.
It is not emergency.
See how they're treating her.
Okay, well, that's not a criminal thing.
What you mean they're in a criminal thing?
You have to contact the hospital supervisors, okay, and let them know. The police have nothing to do with that, ma'am. This line, 911, is used for emergency purposes only. Life-threatening emergencies. It is not.
After that incident, we've actually have patients who are actually not in the ER, but in the ward, but they're not getting timely treatment in the ward, or they want more pain medication. They'll pick up the phone and dial 911. So we're sending an EMS captain out to the 18th floor of a hospital to provide more pain medication for a patient that's inside there.
No, you got 102 over 36.
Our firefighter paramedics are incredible. I mean, we're constantly doing training and more training, and they're stepping up to fill that gap. But is that what we want as a society? That for the fire department to become the healthcare system?
A big part of the fix is more primary and preventive care. If the people with diabetes and high blood pressure get treated early, then they don't come in here with heart attacks and strokes.
Señora, buenas tardes. Yo soy doctora Ragazza. Es médico primaria aquí. Yo hablo español.
In an ideal world for us, we need to open up those county clinics today so we have some place for individuals to walk into before they become in crisis and need actually 911 service.
It all comes down to funds, but it's a catch-22, situation. So what we did here at Fire Station 65, we've added 2 more rescues that we can put into place if things get really bad, which they do a lot here. Is it a Band-Aid? Yes, but it's the it's the only Band-Aid we have right now to serve everybody in this community.
Have a good day, my friend. All right?